chase around. It's becoming a Top Gun jet fighter, and so to do that, you have to get within the sims and actually fly the planes around. So we are kind of a Navy-based. We like to think ourselves Navy-based. Thank you very much. We fly the F-18 Hornet. Okay. Super Hornet, the Mach 3s, the F-18 Hornet. So, like I said, it's the one that replaced the F-14 later on. It's just more of a multi-role aircraft. It can do the air-to-ground. It can dogfight exceptionally well. It's
less
just
expensive.
Less expensive, yes, it's smaller. So it's an all-purpose, all-weather aircraft. Sorry, just kind of that's why we use the F-18. That's why they use the F-18. Only to possibly replace by the F-35 if that ever goes through. So we'll kind of see where that goes with it. But F-18 just is solid. You can always tell the difference between an F-18 and F-15. F-18, they're very similar in many ways. The F-18 has the curved or the slanted vertical stabilizers, where F-15 is straight. So if you ever see a jet, that's how you can know the difference between F-18 and F-15. All right, so make sure you guys listen up. Listen up. Real easy step to get up off the ground. All right. Really, it's just three things. Right away, you're gonna hop into your simulator. Pull the throttle back. Your throttle's on your left side. Your joystick is on your right side. So you just be sitting in there. It's kind of shaped after an F-16 cockpit. This uses the HOTAS, hands-on throttle and stick. Not like the F-14 where you have kind of the joystick in the middle. Okay. These are on the side. You got your throttle on one side, your joystick on the other. It's much more of the modern air setups. So what we have, first thing, we're gonna hop in here. Just pull your throttle back. A lot of times they're forward, so just pull them back at first. And then the first thing you're gonna do is lower your flaps. Your flaps are located at A. This is your cockpit right here. So you'll see a little switch that says flaps. Just press it down once, okay? Just one time, press it down, flaps down. We lower our flaps for takeoff and landing. This allows us to maneuver at slower speeds, allows us to create more lift at lower speeds. So that's why we use our flaps. Engines, all right? Engines are always the hard part because everybody always kind of misses them. Down here, kind of by your hip, kind of right back here, all right? So just right to your right. It's just these two little switches. There's a little green light. And it's the two switches on the outside. Some of them have the braille right next to it, but two switches on the outside. We'll show you the demonstration inside, but it's easy. And the third one is very important. Everybody always forgets the wheel brake or wheel brake. Okay, it's just like a parking brake at first in your car. So if you're not going anywhere, if you have your engine started and you're trying to throttle up, you're not moving anywhere because you have your parking brake on. It's on your throttle, kind of right where your thumb would rest, the very bottom. Okay, there's kind of a squishy button here. It's missing on this one. Everybody's always mean to the wheel brake. Just press in the wheel brake, and that will release your brake. Okay, that will release your parking brake. But then the key is to keep your thumb on that, because that after you release the brake, it works as just a normal brake. It will slow you down if you're taxiing too fast. And we'll get into the speeds of taxiing. Just so that you can control your aircraft. Otherwise, if you go too fast, you're going to be turning into the grass and everything. It's just, it's not pretty. All right. Everybody know what a taxi is? We've all kind of done it on the airway. A taxi is just moving the aircraft on the ground, essentially moving it to the runway. So here is our taxi path. You guys will start. We may take a shortcut, we'll see, but we'll see. As it is now, you start like this, so you usually just turn to the right, come all the way down, okay? You can, just find the runway is the biggest idea. Try and take off from the runway. The runway is more like a normal road. It's got the little dashes. So that is the ideal. That is the ideal takeoff. It's a very long runway, so you have plenty of space. Also, collision is off, so you can't run into other aircraft.
Aww.
Okay. Yeah. We'll get into shooting them down later, though. Fortunately, they only take one bullet to blow out of the sky, so it's not too shabby on that. But yeah, so you're going to start here, kind of just go down, find the runway, and then we're going to take off. For taxiing, kind of start it out, all right? Start your engines. Make sure you have both started. If you have one, it's going to be kind of hard to control. Your plane will want to kind of just go in circles, okay? I'll show you in a second how to check to make sure both engines are started. But you have your engine started, your wheel brakes off, you have your throttle. All you do is just power it up a little bit to about 40%. Okay? This down here shows you your engines. Make sure both will kind of light up, kind of like this fuel indicator. Both will light up, and that's how you know your engines have started. If one is lit up and the other is not, you need to find your other engine. You're going to throttle up to about 40 or 50, okay? And that is where you're going to start moving, kind of inching forward. And then once you're inching forward, you're under control. We don't have rudder pedals in these ones, right? So we don't have any yaw control. So on the ground, you're going to just be using your joystick will work as your steering, okay? So you just kind of press it to the right, your whole aircraft will start turning. The big thing is just don't go too fast. Our speed limit is 20 knots, all right? It's 20 knots for your own safety, but you can probably go a little faster. But 20 knots is a little bit easier to control, so you will be able to see your speed is right here. Airspeed indicator is on the left side. Altitude indicator, okay, is on the right side. How high you are off the ground, how fast you're going. So 20 knots. If you're going too fast, just pull back on the throttle if you need to, or also press in that wheel brake. Okay, the wheel brake will slow you down just like some normal brakes. Either one of those work ideal. Your flaps will show up right in between these, so that's how you know if your flaps are down. Press to make sure those are down once. And your wheel brake, you can see, is right here. All right, so make sure your landing gear is down when you're on the ground. You don't need to put it up while you're on the ground. It won't let you. But your lady will come on and say landing gear while you're on the ground, and that's why, because you press the landing gear up. I'll come by because I hear her a lot, so it's okay. And you. Very nice, sweet lady. Kind of like she just tries to save you, so it's good. But wheel brake, so that's why I'll be able to come by your sim and check, make sure everybody's prepared for flight by just looking, make sure this wheel brake is off, your flaps are down, and both engines are started. So those are just the first three things that you're looking to do. All right, and then it's just kind of just throttling with the throttle, just kind of back and forth, all right, feathering with it, using that wheel brake to keep your speed at 20 knots. When you're finally on the runway and you are ready to take off, all you're going to do is push the throttle all the way forward, all right? Throttle's all the way forward. We usually take off about at 180, okay? 180, you'll be going just fine for some flight. Enough lift for flight, and all you do is just gently pull back on the joystick, just gently. You don't have to slam it back, just gently, just gently. That'll be the key to everything. It's just gentle movements, okay? Just gentle movements. You don't need to, just very sensitive. It's just, you need to slam it one way or the other. That's like the movies. The movies, they kind of slam in one way. You get the kids inside there that pull back on their throttle and slam it this way and that way. It doesn't work. Yeah, it doesn't work. And then the sim breaks. We have to get you a new one. So you'll see. It's just gentle movements, especially when you're coming in for landings, everything like that. 180 knots, you can start pulling up, and then you're gonna need to, once you're up in the air, you're flying, just get your landing gear up, which is down by your flaps. So we all remember where our flaps are at? It's on kind of this left side. You'll see it says flaps. There's another one that says gear, or LND, GR. just press them up. Landing gear up when you are flying, okay? Landing gear up, flaps up, and make sure when you're flying, just keep your speed up too. The plane has to go, the F-18 needs a lot of speed to stay up in the air, so keep it at full throttle, keep it at about 90% is fine, but keep the speed up. All right, you don't really want to drop below 200. You've seen over here, drop below 200 and your plane will start going down. All right, and then the lady will come on again, telling you, landing gear, landing gear. Yeah, the sync rate. All right, this one shows, we'll get into that in just a second. But just for while we're flying around, once again, here's some things. Altitude, okay? You don't want to hit 0, obviously when you're flying. Airspeed, all right? Anybody see what airspeed is right here? It's actually 617. So just be wary of that. That's why the 20 knots. Make sure it's not 20 and the number change. That means you're going 200. You'll probably be taking off. It should just be a 2 there. So that is your airspeed, 672 knots. This is your Mach speed, okay? So this person's almost going Mach 1. We all know what Mach 1 is, okay? Speed of sound. So this person's almost getting into there. It's just your heading, your normal compass heading. Vertical speed, it doesn't really affect us too much here. Real plane it would. It's kind of getting how many G's you'd be have, but we're just in a simulator and talk. Pull as many G's as you can. Just know this, the white circle with the dot in the middle is your true heading of your gun sight, okay? That shows you the attitude of your plane, which way your plane is facing. All right, if that is above this artificial horizon, if it is above it, you are nose up. All right, if it is below it, you are nose down. And we're going to be talking a lot about the velocity vector here in a second. The importance of velocity vector for landing. Velocity vector is just a computer-generated kind of model that shows you if you don't touch the controls anymore, that is where your plane is going. So when we're landing, of course, we want the velocity vector on the runway. That's where we're landing. That's where we want it to go. That is pretty much all that sort of stuff. We'll get into the bombing later. This is your little target. When you're up in the air, I think we'll talk about this later. There's just try and get into navigation mode. Your radar is all going to be on your joystick. Okay. So this little dinner plate button is what we call it, kind of where your thumb would go. Okay. Right where your thumb would rest. Just press it to the left. You want to get into navigation mode, just so you can find the airport at MIA. And then you're going to use this little hockey button down at the bottom, and that will select your target. We'll come by and help you with that one. That's some advanced stuff. The biggest thing you guys need to just remember for takeoff. 3 simple things. What are they again? What's the first thing? Flaps down, right? Right on A. Flaps down. And then what do I do? Start my engines. 2 engines on the right side. And then my throttle should be back. All they do is wheel brake off. Don't forget the wheel brake. It's great for landing too. Everybody needs the wheel brake. Let's see. All right, so lower flaps, start your engines. 3 easy steps. Taxi, find the runway, take off. Up in the air, landing gear up. Once again, landing gear up, flaps up. Now you're flying. Landing now. Landing is, did you pull up the landing one?
He may have.
Sure.
Window did it.
All right. Landing, kind of 3 things as well. 3 plus another one. Landing is, once you get up, work on flying around. Once again, you don't have yaw control, you don't have rudders, okay? But all you do is you're going to be rolling left or right, just with the joystick, simple movements. And then you come back to the middle and pull straight back, and that will turn you, okay? So if you roll kind of to the right, you'll almost see be perpendicular with the ground there, then just pull straight back and you'll be turning that way. And you'll get kind of used to that flying around. Once you get comfortable flying around, you work on some landings. So landings, you're going to find the airport and then find the runway. So that is the hardest part, is lining yourself up for the runway. But once you find it, there are 3 things that you just need to do kind of before you even start messing with it. Alright, so get your flaps down again. I press them down twice when coming in for a landing. So flaps down twice, gear down, okay? Flaps down, gear down, and then slow down. Alright? Yes, it's the biggest one because people try to come in and landing at 400 knots. And it's, I mean, you can do it on these runways because they're really long and it's not, you won't damage the landing gear as you would in real life. That's why you can put your landing gear down too when you're going that speed. I just use it as an air brake almost. It'll help you slow down. Normally you wouldn't want to put it down till you're right about 180. But just use it as an air brake right now. Put your gear down, flaps down, slow down. So once you get that, your flaps actually kind of will give you a telltale if you are going fast enough or slow enough. They will not go down halfway until you are under 450, and then they will not go down all the way until you are under 250 knots, which you will be able to see over here. When you are 10 nautical miles out, you want to be under 400, climbing down, so under almost 350. Okay, so under 350 knots, around 10 nautical miles out. About 5 nautical miles out, you want to be getting under the 250 knots. Okay, so the only thing we're doing to slow down is just pulling back on the throttle. All right, you don't need to necessarily pull it all the way back. You'll just keep an eye on your speed, your airspeed indicator. Okay, so just keep an eye on that. You'll probably need to keep pushing it up a little bit because you do not want to drop below 200. You don't want to drop below 200 until you are right over the runway. Otherwise, you won't make it to the runway. There's usually water right in front of this one. So, yes, you'll become a little boat. But, so drop your speed. Stay in between that 200 to 250 magical range, okay? You'll be just fine if you stay there. Once you are directly over the runway, velocity vector wants to be on the runway. So we talked about that once again. That is your computer generated model of where your plane is going. So obviously if it's on the runway, that's a good thing. That's right where we want to land. So if I'm going there, well, that's perfect. Okay, now I just gotta get my speed down, gear down to make sure that I can land there. Don't forget your landing gear either. A lot of people try to land without landing gear. It can be done, but don't do it. It's not good practice. Once again, so you're just going to come in. That's kind of the whole trick to the game too, is getting that velocity vector on the runway. It's just little movements. It's just like slightly to the left, and then always come back to the center point. Okay? Move slightly to the right, come back center point. Move slightly to the left. And by center or level, I just mean this line right here, you want it to be flat. That's kind of your level speed. Okay, your level attitude. So that is the ideal. But as you get in there, you're right over the runway. You're coming down. At this point, just pull all the way back on your throttle and hold onto that wheel brake. The wheel brake will actually help you stick the landing so you don't bounce. Because some people, you guys will first start bouncing. But all you do is you're going to come down. Okay, you keep coming down, you're descending because you're going so slow. All right, you're coming down, and then at the last second, kind of right before you land, you just kind of flare up, which is just pull gently back, gently. Okay, that is the key. Gently back on the joystick. Ideally, if you just think about it, that true heading, that gun sight, you want it to be flat or slightly above the artificial horizon when you land. If that thing is below it, it means you're going down like this, which is obviously not a good landing form. Flat is okay, but you just want it to flare up a little bit. Just gently. hit me. And if you bounce, don't pull up more, and then you'll come down like that. But that's the main stuff. I mean, just there's 3 and 3. So as you start, flaps down, start your engines, wheel brake off, taxi, find the runway, take off. Put my gear up, put my flaps up, fly around a little bit, come back to the airport, okay? Flaps down twice, gear down, and then just start slowing down. Just start getting my speed down, lining myself up, gentle movements, working to get that velocity vector on the runway. I'm there now. Just pull back my throttle, hold the wheel brake in, just come down, just let it flare out, and land. We'll run over there, do a quick demonstration, but it's really easy. You guys will have it, I'm sure. So you guys got this. Any questions? Just kind of ready to get started, right? You learn much easier once you're inside. But all right, let us head over to the simulator.